Hey guys, welcome back to another video of us. Today we're gonna show you a overhead mobility follow along routine which you can easily implement into your daily life, into your training routine, and it's for beginners and advanced or more advanced athletes, and it includes 4 exercises. We're gonna need a stick or a dowel today and 2 yoga blocks, and let's just jump straight into the routine. So first up, we're gonna start with some half cars. Hopefully you're all used to normal shoulder cars. For half cars, we'll just pick a certain position and a certain amount of movement from the cars and repeat it in that section. So start in a quadruped position, take a deep breath, really make sure your core is tight and engaged, and then lift off one arm into full flexion, straight elbow, and from here start to internally rotate and bring your arm back, so the whole arm internally rotates right to here, and then externally rotate back into shoulder flexion. So this should be very hard, depending on how much tension you create in your body. So make sure again, second rep, internally rotate, stop right there, and back, external rotate. This was the second rep. We're gonna go for 6 repetitions here. Third rep, up, beautiful, other side, and back, nice. Take a deep breath again. Make sure the arm is straight here. Internally rotate, whole arm internally rotates, and back, externally rotate. If it feels weird for you, maybe just to take a tennis ball into your arm, into your hand, and that way you can create a little bit more tension and the squeeze is maybe, or the feeling is maybe better. Beautiful. One more, one last rep, yes. 6th rep here. Internally rotate, stop right there, and back. So as you see here, she stops right at the halfway. That's why it's called half cars. We just pick the first section of the cars and then go back to the start. Let's do the right arm. Again, 6 repetitions here.
So when you're starting or when you're in the position, make sure your supporting arm or stabilizing arm stays straight and try to push tall, so into protraction, and don't just sink into it. And remember to keep your belly button like with one line to the floor, so to stop yourself from rotating out. So imagine there's this line, this vertical line from your belly button to the ground, and you want to keep that line and don't just want to rotate out, so that you keep a straight spine in a straight tabletop position.
Take a deep breath and up, full flexion as high as you can. Make sure, as she already said, to not compensate and rotate out with your upper body. Really do a strict movement here. Up, full flexion, and stop right there. Beautiful. Full flexion, internally rotate, stop at halfway, and externally rotate back. Beautiful. Nice. Make sure to breathe, but hold the tension during the rep as good as you can. Set back, take a deep breath, and go again. Beautiful. Great. Internally rotate again, externally rotate. Hopefully you see it that she's really staying in the exact same position, not rotating out, not going back with her lower body. So clean repetitions, 6 on each side, and let's move on to the next exercise. It's gonna be some shrugs for the scapula. We're gonna go into elevation and depression of the scapula. Why are we going to target the scapula for overhead mobility? Because it's very important, it's a very important aspect of overhead mobility, as the scapula is, and the muscles surrounding the scapula is connected to your shoulder. And you probably don't see it, but the scapula is rotating outwards and upwards as you go into flexion. So it's very important to have control and to have strength in your scapula. Otherwise, your overhead mobility will suffer from it. That's why we implement scapula mobility now, and we're going to start with some shrugs, 6 to 8 reps again with the stick. And after the shoulder shrugs, we're going to do some pike presses. Okay, from here in a kneeling position, take a deep breath again. Make sure you're not falling into a low arched back here. Go as high as you can with a straight spine. And from here, make sure straight arms, take a deep breath. Yes, and up. Full elevation. So make sure your shoulders are touching your ears, and back in full depression here. So really push your scapulas down. Push your scapulas up. Think of wanting to fly to the ceiling or reach to the ceiling with straight elbows. That's really important. So make sure your shoulders are touching your ears. Then press your scapulas down, press your shoulders down into the ground and up and down. Really hold it there for 2 to 3 seconds at the top position and the lowest position. Up and down, up and down. Beautiful. Great. So first exercise done. Now it's going to be a little bit harder. And we're going to do the pike presses, same movement but in a pike position. It should simulate a handstand position even better than the first variation here. So go in a pike position. If this is too hard for you, maybe place your hands on some yoga blocks to make it less difficult. But yeah, we're gonna go with this variation. From here, make sure, again, straight knees, engage your legs, engage your core. Make sure you press yourself into scapular elevation, so press the floor away from you, and then try to slowly sink into the scapula, so let the scapula sink together, but make sure the elbows are staying straight here. Press up again, so think again of pushing away from the floor while maintaining straight elbows. That's the key here. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 reps from the front. She's really sinking in as much as she can and pushing out. Again, shoulders touching the ears again. Sink in and push up. Really push tall here, as tall as you can. Down, up. Not only a good exercise for scapular control, but also an exercise you can implement in your handstand training. Awesome. Keep the elbows straight, really control your scapulas. Down. Awesome. So these were the first 2 exercises. Hope you enjoyed it so far. Now let's jump into the last 2 exercises for this routine.
So for our next exercise, which is basically a shoulder opener, as many of you would call it, we'll use our couch chair here. And we go into a butcher stretch, that's what it's called. And basically a tabletop position, and you're trying to get your elbows or like your arms parallel to each other and set your elbows on top of like the surface. And then instead of just sinking in with your spine, you're going to engage your core and try to maintain a PPT. So you're not using your spine, but you're still focusing on shoulder flexion. So opening up that, you want to feel a stretch here. If you feel a pain up here, come out of the stretch a little bit until you feel comfortable. Okay, so you don't want to feel a pain or a pinch in this closing angle. It's a closing angle because as soon as you lift into more flexion, this one closes and this one opens up. So you want to feel a nice stretch in the opening side. Maintain your PPT And then you will hold this stretch for a total of 2 minutes. Or let's do 1 minute if we're going to do it together. And then we're going to do a pails and rails contraction, so isometric contractions. And first we are going to go into the progressive, so the open side. So you're going to think of pushing your elbows down into the surface. And then for the rails contraction, you want to think of contracting the regressive side, so the closing side, so all of this tissue here, and trying to lift the elbows off of the surface. You want to be in such a deep stretch that it's basically impossible for you to lift off, but you still want to feel the contraction. You can, if you want to, include your thoracic spine into this stretch, but if you want to make this a shoulder only, then make sure that you're not sinking into the thoracic spine either, but keeping a straight spine. If you want to, you can sink into the spine a little bit, especially if you're looking to like deepen your back bend, for example. But that's up to you. We prefer using it as a shoulder opener or a shoulder exercise only. The thoracic spine plays a role in shoulder or like overhead mobility. So that's a bonus here. So, okay, deep breath in, engage your core, and slowly start putting pressure down into the surface with your elbows. Slowly start pushing down, and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 100% safest max effort, push down. Like you're basically trying to push yourself out of shoulder flexion. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, imagine pushing your elbows away from the surface, getting into deeper flexion of the shoulder. If you're using your spine, imagine going into deeper thoracic extension while keeping the PPT. 2, 1, and relax. Sink deeper into the shoulder stretch. Keep the posterior pelvic tilt, keep your core engaged, and slowly come out of your stretch position. Nice. Good job. So now that we've opened up the shoulder and we've worked a lot on our scapula, we're finally ready to tackle the shoulder dislocates.
Yes.
So we're going to use the dowel again, and you can decide the width that you want to grab the dowel. Okay, so we've got it numbered. We have like numbers here, so we know where we are at. Yeah. And then you can start in the widest position first, and then you can narrow the grip depending on how you feel. And we're going to go for 6 repetitions. You want to do the repetitions controlled. You want to keep your arms completely straight. And as you go overhead, think of elevating your scapula a little bit and then going back, okay? Exactly. The arms are straight the entire time. If you have to bend your arms, grab a little bit wider apart, okay? So, hope you found your position. Before you start, brace yourself, deep breath in, core is engaged, PPT. And then into elevation and back. So rotate, yeah, as far as you can, and then back into your starting position, control, and down. So if this was too easy for you, narrow the grip just a little bit and see how that works. Nice. Remember to keep the posterior pelvic tilt, otherwise you're helping yourself and cheating with your lumbar spine. Okay, so you really want to make sure that you keep the posterior pelvic tilt throughout every single repetition. Especially when you're in elevation, as soon as you arch your spine, it's easier to go and get that transition, that dislocate. So really remember to keep the core under tension and not allowing any spinal compensation. Nice, good job. One more, two more.
I think it's done.
Okay, cool, we're done. Awesome. Okay, so we're done with the first round of this routine. If you want to, you can do a second or even a third round. Make sure to increase the intensity whenever you need it, whenever you need a little bit more of a challenge. And if you want to dive deeper, if you want to find out more, then click the link below. You can book your free call with one of us to dive deeper into the topic or into your personal mobility and strength routine. Subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment and questions and feedback below.
Great.
And we'll see you next time.